the way the Bible tells us is that the two shall become one. How do you become one? Everything and anything must be discussed. Everything and anything must be on the table. That's the way you become one.
But we find it that in some cases, people are not willing to put things on the table.
That's it. Then why get into marriage? That's what I mean by immaturity. When people do not understand the concept of marriage.
Welcome again to another episode of the When I Wanted Out talk show. I'm still your host, Teleola Kola-Edun. On today's episode, we're discussing a topic titled Tenacity in Marriage. We all need to practice tenacity. And to discuss this particular topic is none other than my mom, Titilola Akilawo. She's a lawyer, an SAN, and a litigator of over 4 decades, particularly in the family court. She's a partner in the law firm of Akilawo and Ajomo, a specialist litigation firm in Lagos. She has litigated on several divorce cases, which enables her to know the pitfalls in marriages. And she's also an expert in advising on marriages. So I'd like to present to you my mom, Titilola Akilawo, who has been happily married for almost 4 decades, to talk to us about perseverance in marriage. Thank you very much for coming on the show again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to always be back.
Thank you. So, Mom, let's talk about tenacity in marriage. What is your view on marriages today? Being that you have handled several divorce cases, why do you call for perseverance and patience in marriage?
Well, the issue here is, I think the Gen Z, your generation.
I'm not Gen Z though.
I'm
the millennial.
Oh, so sorry. For me, there is really not much difference. Anyway, what I've found out is that a lot of young people, both sexes, don't really understand what marriage is about. When God created marriage, it created it for a particular purpose, for companionship. It's not for any other reason. Every blessing that comes out of marriage is just a bonus. The issue is, once you resolve that you are getting married, you should be determined that it's for keeps. Because again, the Bible tells us that God hates divorce. Despite what I have said, that marriages are meant for keeps, there are circumstances that makes it really clear that some marriages are not meant to be. Because how would we explain a marriage of 2 weeks that has broken down completely?
What caused the breakdown in 2 weeks?
Well, I think it's just a question of not understanding or knowing the essence of marriage. You see, I always say to people that 10 years of courtship does not equate 1 day of marriage.
Right.
Marriage is such that you are going to live within the confines of another human being, brought up in a different background. Because like the Yorubas will say, this is the way we behave in our own homes. It's completely different and strange in other homes. So that, I think, is the fundamentals. When you don't take time to check the red flags, and you are in it creates problems. And you look at it that, hey, but I can't tolerate this. I'm not going to stay here for somebody to insult me or somebody to treat me with so much levity or so disaffection and all sorts. Look, I always say that it's a matter of the little foxes. Something as minute as the way a spouse uses the toothpaste creates problems in marriages. Something so simple and so mundane. But it's because you are already irritated, or you get into the bathroom, the wet floors, towels on the ground, and things like that. You're already on edge. And when it's, what's for breakfast? What do you mean? What is for breakfast? You are already on edge. So those are the little things that I've found creates these problems. And then, of course, we cannot take away from societal influence. I cannot take it. That's rubbish. How can he treat you like that? How can he? When it's something that could easily and gently be resolved. But the influence of outsiders would always create animosity in a marriage. So that is why it is good, once you resolve that you're getting married, you come determined that I will do all that I can to make sure that this marriage succeeds. But in a situation where there is violence, I will not subscribe to that. At least I always say that it's better that you live separately to resolve all the issues, the nuances that may come up in such marriages if there is violence. Because
but some people will tell you that it can't just boil down to violence, that there's emotional abuse, that they will not stay if they're being emotionally abused or verbally abused. That why would you only categorize physical as a point where you leave? Well,
that's a very germane one, because you can't see emotional abuse.
Yeah.
It's in the head. But despite the fact that it's in the head, I would say that why must you allow anybody to degrade you to the point that you will feel that I can no longer tolerate this? I can no longer persevere under the prevailing circumstances. You should stand up for yourself, advocate for yourself that I am a human being. I cannot be treated in this manner.
Right.
You stand up for yourself. We're all human beings. We have fundamental rights. So I really see no reason why any woman will say that I'm being subjected to emotional abuse. You should be able to stand up and say no to emotional abuse. You should have that confidence in yourself, because you'll find out that people that really do suffer for emotional abuse are people that they themselves lack that innate self-confidence. Because if you are self-confident and somebody gets up to say, you're so useless, you are so this, you stand up and say, I'm not useless. That was the primary reason why you married me. Things like that. You have to be bold enough to confront issues and talk about it, and don't allow anybody to put you down.
But in your experience with, handling divorce cases, what are those things that make people, lack patience or perseverance in the marriage? What are those things that cause them to actually just say, you know what, I'm throwing in the towel, I'm done. I can't even put up with this anymore.
But what I've found out is that cases of immaturity, it's not about age. You see, immaturity of the mind. If you're not competent or capable within yourself to take charge of your own life, it will be very difficult for you to be able to live with another human being coming from a totally different background from your own. And it's always come back to a collusion. So the first thing I've observed is that a lot of people don't even understand what marriage is about. Because marriage is like, the way the Bible tells us is that the two shall become one. How do you become one? Everything and anything must be discussed. Everything and anything must be on the table. That's the way you become one.
But we find it that in some cases, people are not willing to put things on the table.
That's it. Then why get into marriage? That's what I mean by immaturity. When people do not understand the concept of marriage. You see, it is when the Bible says, for this reason shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. It didn't say join. It says cleave. Cleave is a firmer thing than joining. okay? And something that has cleaved together, you cannot separate it. So if we go by the biblical dictates, marriages will work. If the man decides to love the wife the way the Bible says it should be done, just like the way Jesus Christ loves the church, and then the woman, it will become so easy for the woman to submit to the man. But you cannot be talking about submitting without loving. You have to love first to get the submission.
I think most men don't like to hear that.
I didn't make the law. God made the law.
So now, most men wouldn't like to hear the fact that you have to love first for submission to come naturally. And which is why we've had previous conversations on the show where we said, you know, before you get married, understand who you're getting married to. Yes. So you know whether it's easy, it will be easier for you to submit to such a person. It's not when you now get married that you would want to stand your ground on certain issues. Now, if one partner is keen on making the marriage work, but the other partner is not willing, you know, the concept of tenacity and perseverance. I've been trying to make this marriage work. I'm giving it everything I can, but the other partner is not meeting me, is not compromising, is not moving, is not being kind. Well, so what does that willing partner do?
In life, life itself is all about compromise. Everything we do is about compromise. So and it takes two to tango. If one party is not willing, there is not much you can do. There is not much anybody can do. It will have to be, they will have to go back to the basics. Why did he decide to marry, or why did she decide to marry the partner? So we go back. I always say to women that, look, listen, you have the power over your man. Because there was a reason why he or she chose you in the first instance. There must be something that is peculiar about you as an individual that your partner decided that, oh, this is the person I am getting along with. So you have to go back and nurture that thing. You know, some people, it might be intellect, it might be hard work, it might be beauty, whatever, I don't know. You know, we have different reasons why we decide to get into marriages. So I always say to people, I mean, when I talk about marriages and counseling, and say, look, can you tell me that one thing that fascinated your partner to you in the first instance? So that is what we want to nurture. We have to nurture that one thing. And that is what will bring him back to the table, to be able to sit down, to talk about it and say, okay, this is the way forward. Okay, let's try, let's do this. Because it takes a while for somebody to decide I'm going to get married to this person. It takes a lot.
But sometimes people are really strategic now. You can use strategic marrying. So I wouldn't say it takes a lot for some people, because if I know that you're from a well-to-do family, okay, like say now, your father is a governor, I can strategically put myself in the way so that I can be...
So truly and really, you see, that's what I'm saying. You will, in that kind of a situation, you are not going into the marriage for the right reasons.
Okay.
So that will certainly be not the marriage the way God has intended it.
Okay, so in this case, we're saying that if one party is willing to make this marriage work and the other person is not, the willing party needs to go back and understand why this person chose me and why I chose this person.
That's it.
And then nurture it.
That's it. That, okay. I guess, will make that the party to come back to the table.
So now, also buttressing on that question, how do we win this unwilling party? How do we get them now to start fighting for this marriage, especially when they are vocal about being done? There's some people that will go on and tell you, I'm done. I don't want to have anything to do with you again. So even if I'm nurturing this thing, I want to nurture my intellect. I want to nurture my hard work, my efficiency and effectiveness in the home, my ability to be great in so many areas. But somebody is constantly telling you, I don't want you in my life anymore.
There's nothing you can do in that kind of a situation. because it takes two to tango. If one partner is really not willing to get the marriage going, that's it. So you can't work together unless you agree. So the partner that wants the marriage to continue would either have to appeal to God for God to enable the partner to change his or her mind, or you walk away
Take a walk.
That's it. I mean, because it takes two. Not one person cannot make a marriage, no. So, because even if that partner that is willing to keep the marriage going, it will get to a point, he or she will get fed up and will decide that, I've done my best, it's time for me to take a walk. And when it comes to that, you get irritable, that it even makes it worse.
And it affects the children and all of that. Okay. So I think when it gets to the point where you have done all you can, you have prayed all you can, you have been led in every way you can, and the partner is still adamant that I do not want this thing anymore, I think that's
when you take a walk.
You
know that there is no hope.
You have done everything you can to salvage this marriage, but still not.
And in such situations, what I found out, in such situations, you'll find that there is another person.
Okay. There's someone outside that is causing them the attraction.
From my experience, that's what I found out. There would always be somebody out there that is fueling it.
Fueling the desire to come out. Well, so, I would be right back. We're going to continue on this issue and this topic of tenacity and issues that people face in trying to stay patient and persevere through issues in their marriage. We'll be right back. When I wanted out, 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 when I wanted out of the relationship. So welcome back. We're still talking with my mom on the issues of tenacity in marriage, staying married despite the odds. We talked about earlier that when someone is very clear that I am done, and you as the willing partner, you have done all you can to make the marriage work. You have prayed, you have sought the face of God, you have tried to nurture what they loved about you initially, and you've done all you can, and there's still that confidence that they are done in the marriage. And I think it's at that point that you say, okay, we're done. But how does one person in the marriage now that has faced infidelity, even the infidelity has led to children outside, can that couple ever recover? Or in the case of no children, there's no children, the man is looking for children, or they are all girls, the man is looking for a boy, or in the case of, there's just no money in the house.
Well, let's take it one after the other, because it does not relate to this. The factors are different. In the case of infidelity, I believe that if the man had come clean or the woman had come clean and seeks forgiveness of the partner, I see no reason why the partner should not forgive. Because what is it that love cannot overcome? Yes, it's painful, no doubt, but forgiveness is all that can heal the soul. Because if the innocent partner fails to forgive, will continue to be bitter about the situation.
But in most times, it's the woman that will forgive the man.
I understand.
But we don't find a lot of men that cover this.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. Either party, it doesn't matter whose ox is gone. Either party should learn forgiveness. We all wrong another person. We'll wrong God every time. And as soon as we go back to say, oh, Father, please forgive me, he has done it. And that's what he expects of us.
So the caveat is
The innocent party.
Well, the person that wronged has to go and apologize.
Most confess about it and seek God's forgiveness, seeks the partner's forgiveness, and so that life can continue. Because you see, both of them would suffer if there is no forgiveness. The man will carry the guilt. Of course, it may bravado that it doesn't matter, but it's there. And the woman will be bitter. And so why would you have to face that? It's better to learn forgiveness. And in a situation where there are no children of the marriage, I have an elderly friend that will tell me, oh, Titi, there is nobody that God has created barren. If you cannot have your own biological child, there's so many children that you can adopt. There is surrogacy. There is IVF. The medicine had made life a lot easier for childless couples. Now, these days, what people do is surrogacy. It's there. It's so very easy. So why would we, because there is no child, then the marriage must be dissolved? And particularly because God did not create the marriage for you to have children. That is not the primary purpose of marriage. Primary purpose of marriage was companionship, just the two of you. I had such a problem. And my husband was like, what the heck? My friend, let's go back to the squash court and do what we know how to do, you know. So and most often than not, when there are issues of infertility in the marriage, probably is the man's fault. But no man wants to admit that. That. So I just look at it that, okay, we can do it another way. We can get children another way. You could go to orphanages, adopt children. You can decide to foster children. You can decide to do so many options which can be done. And if it's a case of lack of money, I believe that it's not only a man's prerogative to provide for the home. It's a joint effort. That's why I said the two will become one. So both of you must work together to ensure that there is money in the family. So it shouldn't be a reason. I know some women feels that if my husband cannot provide, I don't know what you wear now, bone straight, or is it all of those horrible things, or you can't have makeup, all those things are so inconsequential. They're things that will fade away with time. We
need to go to Marrakesh. We need to go. We need to travel the world.
All those
buy jewelry.
All those are inconsequential things. They're not the stuff that will make a marriage work. So they're not things you should focus on in any marriage.
So as we wrap up, what we've been clearly hitting on is we have to fight for our marriage.
You should. That's what God expects.
God expects us to stay married. So you have a lot of time to decide who you want to get married to.
That's the key.
You have a lot of time to decide who you want to get married to. So now, those that are single and are looking to get married now, especially the Gen Zs that you're talking about, what would you say? What is your advice to those of us that are about to start that process of getting married?
That's a tough one, but as tough as it may be, it's always good to look out for red flags. You look out for the fact that your partner is intolerant of criticisms, does not like to hear the truth. An arrogant human being will not listen to anybody.
That's right.
Those, I think, are the core issues here. The pride of the partner. And if you know that your partner is quite materialistic. So what happens if there is no money? That automatically means...
And another one, lack of contentment. I feel like, okay, materialistic, lack of contentment.
It's one and the same now. Yeah. You look at it that you have to be able to be content with your lot in life. Fingers are not equal. What's your next friend that carries Prada bag or what, I don't know, whatever ones you carry now? it doesn't mean you have to carry it.
Yeah.
But you find some women will, because of that, I've had cases like that we can't go on holiday. What is your business about going on holiday? You can visit me in Abeokuta for holiday. It's good enough as going to the UK or going to the US. It doesn't have to always be outside. And you have to look again that your partner has prospects in life. It's not about the money he has today, but the prospect that he can continue to sustain that prospect to become successful in life. It's all that is important.
So your single period is one of the most critical periods before you enter the journey of marriage.
That's it.
You have to choose wisely.
That's it.
You have to look at what this person is coming with. You have to look at what this person is, their character, how they treat people, especially people that are beneath them, and look at where they're going in life. What is it that they're about, and then decide whether this is someone I can do this journey of forever with. Thank you very much. I do hope that we've been able to pick out a thing or two, and I'm sure she's very happy to help. She's a family lawyer. If you have any legal questions or questions pertaining to, the legal aspect of this, I'm sure she'll be very happy to give professional advice. So please let us know your take. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them offline. Thank you for taking the time to listen today, and we'll see you same time next week. Bye-bye. When I wanted